The morning sun filtered through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the luxurious penthouse, casting a warm golden glow across the sleek marble floors. Clara moved gracefully through the kitchen, her hands gently resting on her rounded belly as she hummed a soft tune, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and sizzling eggs filling the air. Plates were neatly arranged on the polished table, ready for breakfast, while the city below began to stir with life. Her daughter's laughter from the nursery echoed faintly in the distance, a bright contrast to the subtle unease gnawing at her heart. James, clad in a tailored suit, moved briskly through the apartment, his briefcase in hand and phone buzzing incessantly. Though he smiled politely at Clara, there was a coldness in his gaze, a distracted edge that made her stomach flutter with unease. She caught glimpses of him checking his messages, his fingers tapping furiously as if hiding something. Clara paused for a moment, brushing off the unease as work stress, trusting the man she had loved for years. Even the staff noticed the shift. The maid, who had watched the couple's lives unfold for years, exchanged worried glances with the housekeeper, noting James' distracted movements and curt responses. The penthouse, grand and elegant, now seemed to pulse with a subtle tension, a silent warning that the perfection of Clara and James' life was only an illusion, a fragile facade waiting to crack. Isabella moved through the crowded ballroom with the confidence of someone accustomed to attention. Her designer gown shimmered under the chandeliers, and her laughter rang clear, drawing eyes from every corner. James, standing near the bar, couldn't help but notice her elegance and charm. She leaned closer during introductions, her voice soft yet tantalizing, complimenting his achievements and hinting at shared ambitions. Each touch, each whispered word seemed innocuous, but the subtle intensity between them was undeniable. James found himself thinking of Isabella long after the events ended. Secret messages began to appear on his phone, each more intimate than the last, each a thread pulling him away from the life he had with Clara. He replied cautiously at first, then with growing eagerness, unable to resist the thrill of the forbidden connection. Clara, meanwhile, felt an increasing distance in their relationship. Her questions were met with distracted reassurances or vague explanations about work, leaving her confused and quietly hurt. Isabella's ambition deepened with every interaction. She observed James' weaknesses, his desire for admiration, the way flattery could sway his decisions, and the cracks in his moral resolve. Determined to become the center of his life, she began plotting meticulously, weaving herself into his professional and personal world. Clara's presence, the life they had built together, became an obstacle in Isabella's eyes, fueling her obsession and shaping her relentless pursuit to replace the woman James once loved. Clara had begun to notice the small, unsettling changes that hinted at a growing distance between her and James. He returned home later and later, citing last-minute business meetings or unexpected client demands. Expensive gifts, lavish and unnecessary, arrived at their door without explanation. Watches, perfumes, and jewelry that Clara never requested. At first, she tried to brush them off as gestures of affection, but the unease in her heart only deepened. The subtle evidence of betrayal grew harder to ignore. One evening, she noticed a faint scent of perfume on his collar, one she didn't recognize. Another day, a smear of lipstick on his shirt made her stomach tighten with anxiety. Clara wanted to confront him carefully, seeking reassurance rather than accusation. "James, is there something I should know?" she asked softly one night, her hand resting gently on her baby bump. Instead of honesty, she was met with irritation. "You're imagining things, Clara. Stop overthinking," he snapped, a cold edge to his tone that sent a shiver down her spine. Fear for her unborn child's safety and emotional well-being gnawed at her, but she concealed it, refusing to show panic or despair. For the outside world, friends, family, and colleagues, Clara maintained the perfect image, composed, graceful, and unwavering. Beneath that veneer, however, her heart carried the heavy weight of suspicion and dread. That evening, Clara's unease reached a tipping point. James had slipped out under the pretense of an impromptu business meeting, his phone clutched tightly in his hand and his expression unusually guarded. trust warring with instinct, Clara decided to follow discreetly, keeping to the shadows as he navigated the city streets in his sleek black car. Her pulse raced with each turn, the night air thick with tension and foreboding. Eventually, James pulled up outside an upscale, dimly lit restaurant. Clara watched from a distance as Isabella emerged, radiant in an elegant gown, her laughter floating on the night air. They embraced, hands brushing, leaning close as if the world beyond them had ceased to exist. James' smile was open and intimate, his eyes shining in a way Clara had not seen in years, not toward her. The sight hit her like a physical blow, her chest tightening as reality settled painfully around her. With a heavy heart, Clara turned her car around, driving home in silence. Once inside, she locked the doors, sank to the floor, and cradled her belly with trembling hands. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered soft, desperate promises to her unborn children. "I will protect you. I will keep you safe no matter what." The betrayal was complete, leaving her grief-stricken yet resolute, her maternal instincts solidifying into a fierce shield of determination. The morning air in the penthouse felt heavy, almost suffocating, as James entered the room with his usual polished demeanor, but his eyes were devoid of warmth. "Clara, we need to talk," he began, his voice flat and rehearsed. As she looked up, hope flickering, he continued with cold precision. "I want a divorce. Our differences are irreconcilable." The words struck her like a thunderclap, reverberating through every corner of her being. Her heart constricted, and she struggled to maintain composure, gripping the edge of the marble counter to steady herself. James' attention had already shifted elsewhere. His mind seemed consumed by Isabella, who had quickly woven herself into his personal and professional life. Clara could sense the finality in his tone, the complete absence of remorse. Reluctantly, with trembling hands and a churning stomach, she signed the papers, her pen etching the end of their shared life while silently vowing to protect her unborn children at all costs. The news of the divorce rippled through their circle. Friends and family expressed shock and sympathy, their concern mingled with disbelief at James' cold detachment. Meanwhile, James and Isabella openly flaunted their relationship at social events, laughing and appearing carefree. Each public display was a fresh wound for Clara, a cruel reminder of the man she had loved and the life she had lost, strengthening her resolve to rise above heartbreak and shield her children from the storm of betrayal. Clara left the city under the cover of early morning fog, her car loaded with essentials, keepsakes, and a sense of quiet determination. Each mile carried her further from the memories of betrayal, heartbreak, and the life she once shared with James. She arrived in a tranquil town, its streets lined with leafy trees and small cafes, a stark contrast to the relentless pace and suffocating luxury of her past life. Here, she found a modest apartment with sunlight spilling into the rooms, overlooking a small park where she could imagine her children playing safely. As the days passed, Clara poured her energy into preparing for motherhood, ensuring that every corner of her home exuded warmth, comfort, and stability. The baby's nursery was painted in soft, hopeful hues, filled with hand-picked toys and blankets, symbols of the life she was determined to nurture. Beyond domestic life, Clara channeled her creativity and resilience into starting a small business from home, offering handmade products and organizing community workshops. She connected with local women, forming bonds of support and friendship, each interaction helping to rebuild her confidence and sense of purpose. Slowly, the pain of betrayal transformed into strength. Clara's life began to take shape again, defined not by loss or heartbreak, but by dignity, hope, and the unwavering determination to give her children a future full of love and security. 9 months after leaving the city, Clara's life reached a moment of profound transformation. In the quiet comfort of her home, surrounded by soft lights and the gentle hum of life, she welcomed her twin boys into the world. The room filled with the cries of 2 healthy, robust babies, each one a testament to her strength, resilience, and unwavering determination to protect the new life she had nurtured. Despite the shadow of betrayal and heartbreak that lingered in her memory, a deep, unshakable joy took root in her heart. Clara carefully chose meaningful names for the twins, each reflecting hope, courage, and the promise of a brighter future. As she held them close, feeling their tiny hands grasp her fingers, she whispered vows of protection and love, promising to shield them from the pain that had touched her own life. The twins' presence became a source of purpose and motivation, reminding Clara daily of why she had fought to reclaim her independence and rebuild her world. Word of the birth spread quietly through her circle of friends and new acquaintances, who celebrated the arrival of the twins with warmth and excitement, oblivious to the lingering turmoil with James. Yet, Clara remained focused on what mattered most: her children, their health, and the life she was shaping for them. In the laughter, cries, and tender moments of those first days, she discovered a love more profound than she had ever imagined, a love that would guide her and her boys toward a future built on resilience and unwavering hope. James sat in his sleek office, scrolling absent-mindedly through his phone when a post caught his eye. A photograph of Clara appeared, radiant, smiling, cradling her twin boys, with Mia peeking beside them. Comments from friends and neighbors celebrated the arrival of the twins and praised Clara's strength. James froze, the cup of coffee in his hand trembling slightly. The reality of what he had lost hit him like a physical blow. He had assumed that wealth, charm, and status could control everything, but now he saw that they could never replace the bond of family, the love he had shattered. Over the following days, James pieced together more glimpses of Clara's thriving new life. Mutual acquaintances spoke of her growing independence, the small business she had started, and her unshakable composure. Each revelation deepened his regret, gnawing at him relentlessly. He realized he had underestimated her resilience, her intelligence, and her ability to turn heartbreak into empowerment. Sitting alone in his lavish penthouse, James began to understand that his actions had consequences far beyond what he imagined. Trust once broken, love once betrayed, could not simply be restored with apologies or charm. Clara had reclaimed her life, and in doing so, had shown him a truth he could no longer ignore. Wealth and status could never replace the family he had lost and the future he had forsaken. Weeks after glimpsing Clara's new life, James could no longer contain his longing and remorse. He sent messages, letters, and emails, each more desperate than the last, pleading to see her and the children. He tried to justify himself, promising change and expressing regret for the choices that had driven her away. Every message carried the weight of his guilt, yet also an undertone of entitlement, as though he believed apology alone could erase the past. Clara, however, had grown into a woman of unwavering strength and independence. She read his messages calmly, her mind clear and her heart guarded. She understood the importance of protecting her children from James' selfishness and the instability he had once brought into their lives. While she empathized with his remorse, she refused to allow his late regret to dictate the course of her family. When James finally arrived in town, hoping for a face-to-face encounter, Clara met him with poise and quiet authority. She listened, acknowledging his apology without offering reconciliation. Her words were firm yet measured. "I will not let my children bear the weight of your mistakes. Responsibility and respect cannot be given after the fact. They must be earned." James left with a heavy heart, realizing that love and forgiveness were not automatic rights, but privileges earned through consistent action. Clara's boundaries taught him a painful lesson, that some consequences could not be bypassed, and that her family's safety and happiness would always come first. Years later, Clara's life had flourished in ways she had only dreamed of during those early, uncertain days. Her twin boys, now playful and curious, ran through the sunlit rooms of their home, their laughter filling every corner. Clara had nurtured not only their growth but also her own, building a thriving business from the ground up, a testament to her resilience, creativity, and determination. Her reputation in the community grew steadily, and she became a beacon of hope and inspiration for women facing betrayal, hardship, or the need to reclaim their lives. Clara's days were a balance of work, motherhood, and meaningful community engagement. She taught her children the values of integrity, courage, and empathy, ensuring they grew up in a stable, loving environment free from the shadows of the past. Each evening, as the twins slept peacefully, Clara reflected on the journey she had taken, from heartbreak to empowerment, from uncertainty to independence. Meanwhile, James, older and weighed down by regret, observed from a distance, realizing the depth of what he had lost. He saw Clara's strength, her success, and the thriving family he could no longer claim. In contrast, Clara's smile radiated triumph, a silent affirmation that courage, independence, and maternal love could overcome deceit, selfishness, and betrayal. Her life had become a testament to resilience, proving that even in the face of profound loss, a determined heart could rebuild and flourish.